Now, let's take a look at this example over here, the next example. So this is another word problem, very similar to this. So let's see how do we go through this question. Okay, so what are the information I see here? Alright, so the temperature each day at midday can be low, average, high, or very high. So these are the four options I have. Okay, and the forecast for Monday on this particular day is all this. Now, what am I looking at now? If you take a look at all these things, I'm going to put a red box so you can see clearly. So what are they showing me over here? All these are probabilities. How do I know? Because can you see how do I write probability here? The probability of 2 or 3, right? The probability of 2. That's how we write probability. So can you see? So this is read as probability of a low temperature during midday. It's 0.15. The probability of an average temperature during midday is 0.55 and so on. Okay, so these are the information. So all these things, they are telling me they are probability over here. Okay, now the next one, they ask you over here to work out the probability that the temperature on Monday is not low. All right, so what does it mean by not low again over here? So what's my outcome? All right, what is the outcome of my choices here? Okay, so let's write down. So A over here, I have low, right? I have average, all these four things, huh? I have low, I have average, I have high, and I have very high. Okay? Alright. And again, when we talk about probability, you know that when I have all this probability add up together, that's gonna give me equals to 1. Alright, not? Okay? So I am interested to find probability that is not low over here. But what is the information that is given to me? I know what is the probability of low. In this case, I know this is 0.15. This is the probability of low, correct? Not which is 0.15. So since I'm interested to find probability that is not low, not low, so it's going to be all these, correct or not? So these are basically probability of not low. Okay? So what do we understand from here? Alright, based on this, okay, we can already form an equation over here. So if I have this probability, I add with this probability, that will give me to 1. Right? So I'm gonna write this down in a proper equation now. So my probability that is low, which I know is 0.15, plus the probability that is not low, it's equals to 1. So I can solve this like any algebra equation. So that's going to be 1 minus 0.15. Okay, and that will be 0.85. Correct? That's going to be 0.85 over here. Okay? Okay, so we have done for A, yeah? Now B. Now B over here, it's another very simple question. Alright? So what is the probability that is low or average? Now again, remember the word or means an addition operation. So I can write here probability that is low or average. Okay, that's equals to probability of low plus, because of the word or over here, probability of an average. So I have all this information given to me. So I know that's going to be 0.15 plus 0.55. So that will give me 0.7. Okay, so that's my probability over here. Okay. And then last one, C. What is the probability of my temperature, it's very high. Now, if you notice here in this box, they did not give you very high, correct or not? So we know that's an unknown. So probability of very high, it's an unknown. We do not know that, so I'm just gonna put an unknown over here and x value, right? Okay, but again, how do we do for question C over here? We already understand that if we add all this probability, that will give me 1, correct or not? So it's the same like how we do for A. So we apply the same thing for over here. Okay? So in terms of my equation, I'm going to write it like this. Alright. So I'm just going to write here because it's going to be long. So the first one, the probability of low. Alright. Plus the probability of average. Plus the probability of high, plus the probability of very high, that's gonna equals to 1, right? If you add up all the probability, the maximum is always going to be 1. Okay, so I'm gonna fill up all this information. So low is 0.15, average is 0.55, high is 0.25, and very high, that's my unknown, that's my x, and that's equals to 1. So again, you will just solve this like any algebra equation. So 1 is going to equals to, all these things I will add up first. So 0.15 plus 0.55 plus 0.25, okay? I will get 0.95 and then I will move it over here. So I'm going to subtract with 0.95. And then with that, I will get 0.05. So that's my probability of very high over here. Okay, so that's how we solve for this question over here. Okay.